Today's lecture is on MOSFET high frequency models. Let's review in brief what we have learned so far. We know what are device models, and we discussed that three different kind of models are there: DC model, small signal model, and high frequency model. So we have covered this DC model, that is done, small signal model, that is done, and it's done for MOS devices. So right now we are discussing models of MOS device. So we have covered DC models of MOS device, small signal models of MOS device. So today we are going to study high frequency model of MOS device, or I should say MOSFET devices. Now see, the DC model is given here. So based on this DC model, we developed small signal model of MOSFET. But today our topic of discussion is high frequency model. Now, when we talk about high frequency model, so what is special about high frequencies? So what are new things or special things which we have to consider in the MOSFET devices at high frequency particularly? Now there are some components which are not playing any role at low frequency or at DC signal conditions, but they become very dominating at high frequencies. These are some parasitic devices. Parasitic means unwanted devices, and mainly they are capacitances. So some parasitic capacitances which are present into the device, they becomes active at high frequency. Why? Because if there is a capacitor have some impedance, or you can say reactance, and that is inversely proportional to 2 pi f c, inversely proportional to frequency. If frequency increases, their impedance decreases, and at low frequency or at zero frequency, especially at zero frequency, the impedance is infinite, and since infinite impedance is there, no current passes through these devices. So these devices don't have any role at low frequencies, but at high frequencies, when f goes high, when this f increases, at that time xc decreases, so the current through these capacitive components, that starts increasing. It means now we cannot ignore that particular current, but it becomes relevant only at high frequency. So that's why we consider them when we are working at high frequencies, or we are using high frequency models. We ignore them in at low frequencies or in DC models, because if we add them, it will increase the complexity into the system, and since they are not required at low frequency or at DC, so we just ignore them. So where are these parasitic capacitances are actually present into the device? First we have to understand that, then we will add them into the model. So for that we have to understand the structure. We have to go into the structure of MOSFET, and in the structure we have to identify those areas where these parasitic capacitances are there. So see here. So the MOSFET structure is given here. So the drain in this structure is on this side. Normally when we draw a diagram of MOSFET, we should draw a drain this side and source this side. But here in this diagram, source is here on this side and drain is here this side. So that doesn't matter much. Once you understand what is the role of drain, what is the role of source, then whether they are shown in the um, drain is shown on left side or right side doesn't matter. So anyway, many capacitive components are shown here in this structure. So this black part, that is your gate, and this is your oxide. So this part is your oxide, right? And below this oxide there is semiconductor, and this oxide, this metal oxide semiconductor, so this is two conductive regions. Metal is conductive region, the semiconductor is conductive. These two conductive regions separated by this dielectric, that offers you the main capacitive component of this MOS device. But besides this, there are many other capacitive components also. uh, so you can see here, when MOS device starts working, at that time there is channel here, this channel, this portion, So I am writing here E because this is a NMOS device. So in the channel there are electrons. So this portion is channel and there are electrons in this. And your source and drain, they are also N type, means lot of electrons are there in this portion. So it is indicated as N plus. This is also indicated as N plus because lot of electrons are there. Now you see here one capacitive component is shown here. This is CGC. This is gate channel capacitance, because this capacitance occurs between the gate terminal and the channel terminal. Now this channel is interacting with the bulk part of the semiconductor. So there is a bulk channel capacitance. This is C means capacitance, BC means bulk and channel, between bulk material, bulk portion and the channel portion. And there is one capacitance CGB, that is between gate and bulk. So these are three different capacitive components which are connected to your gate terminal, right? And what is the value of these capacitive components? That keep on changing depending on the situation of channel, because one terminal of these capacitances is channel. Channel is one terminal. Here is channel and bulk. Here is channel and gate. Now there are other capacitive components. One component is here, that is shown. A gate drain O is also there. It means overlap. There is gate source overlap. This capacitive component, that is between gate and source. So, and there are other capacitive component, like this portion is N type drain and the substrate is P type substrate. So this is NP. So there is NP junction and this junction is reverse biased, because gate normally have positive potential. So if there is a positive potential here and your substrate is normally grounded, so this is N side is at positive, P side is grounded, so this is reverse bias junction. Most of the time source is also grounded, but not always. Even if it is grounded, there is a junction here and this junction also offers some capacitances. So you see here there are two different kind of capacitive components. One capacitive component that is coming here because of junction, because of PN junction, and second type of capacitive component is because two conductive regions separated by insulator. For example, this gate capacitance and this gate drain overlap capacitance. So we have to understand how the values of these capacitive components changes when we apply some voltage to the device, or when the device is biased in certain regions like saturation, in cutoff, all these things. So if we talk about parallel plate capacitances, so second kind of junction capacitances. There are two junction capacitances, this bulk drain and this bulk source. So these two, this and this, these two are junction capacitances, and all other capacitances which are present here, they are parallel plate capacitances. So you know, in case of parallel plate capacitance, the formula is epsilon A by D. D is distance between the plates, A is area, and epsilon is permittivity of free space. Normally epsilon naught or epsilon r, something like this. Now you see this part, epsilon by D. So D, if we talk about the gate capacitance, D is thickness of oxide layer, and epsilon is permittivity of free space, or here it's not free space, here it's oxide. So the capacitance C, so the other capacitive components which are present here, which are parallel plate capacitances, you see here GDO and GSO. Let's change this color. Okay. Now this CGDO is coming from where? It's coming from this gate drain overlap capacitance. So this capacitance is actually this, and this gate source capacitance which is coming here, this capacitance, that also is having same value, right? So why these kind of capacitances are present here? Actually, when we fabricate MOSFET device, that time what we do, we deposit oxide, we deposit metal layer on the top of this, and then we do patterning, we open window for the diffusion of drain and source. We implant impurities in this portion. So after implantation we do small heating step, which is annealing step, and during that step the implanted n-type impurities in source and drain, they diffuse, and they diffuse in the lateral direction also. And when they diffuse in the lateral direction, they go under the channel area, right? So that way some part of channel comes over the drain and source region, or you can say the drain and source region penetrate into the channel region under the gate. And because of this overlapping, you see here, if we talk about source, so this overlapping is there, this portion, gate is here on the top of this. So because of this we say that this is gate source overlap capacitance, GSO, and its value is given by this C ox. C ox is actually your oxide capacitance per unit area, and the C ox is this part, epsilon naught silicon dioxide by T ox. So this is capacitance, oxide capacitance per unit area multiplied by area, and the area is W into LD. W is the width of channel and LD is diffusion length. How much diffusion is there inside this channel, this portion. So if L is the length of channel, suppose this L is length of channel, this is L. Then if we consider this LD, small penetration this side, LD, and small penetration this side, right? That way. So that LD and actual channel length becomes L minus 2LD. That is our actual channel length, right? So when we find out, or when we calculate the capacitance of the gate, then this, instead of L, we should take this L minus 2LD. But normally we ignore this small change, because most of the time this LD is very small as compared to L, so we ignore this. So we use L into our calculation. But when we calculate this overlap capacitance, at that time we have to consider only that particular length, which is this LD, this small, this particular length only, which is under the gate and which belongs to the drain part. So that's why this LD is there. Now if you talk about the gate channel capacitance, this is this capacitance I am talking about, gate and channel capacitance, that is C ox, which is oxide capacitance per unit area multiplied by area. Area is W into L. So remember, here I am considering L, but actually, or you can say practically, W will remain same, but L will be L minus 2LD. But just to avoid the complexity, I am ignoring LD. I am taking full L here. So it is C ox into W into L. That is your gate channel capacitance. Now let's go to the second type of capacitances, junction capacitances. Junction capacitances, they are marked here. This bulk drain capacitance, which is between drain and bulk, and second capacitance is here source bulk capacitance, this capacitance. They are junction capacitances. There is a PN junction, and the value of this capacitance is given by this formula. And since they are junction capacitances, and you know, in case of PN junction, if you change the applied voltage, their depletion region width changes, so their capacitance changes. In the same way, these junction capacitances, you can say they are function of the voltage. This is reverse voltage which is applied to the PN junction. So this voltage is always reverse biased voltage. And this phi B is built-in potential. You know, in case of silicon based junctions, this built-in potential is about 0.7 volt. Now Cj0 is your junction capacitance, in case when no potential is applied, no external potential is applied. At that time there is a capacitance. That capacitance is because there is a built-in PN junction, a built-in depletion region. That depletion region offers some capacitance. So Cj0 is capacitance when no potential is applied, and C is the capacitance when a potential is applied, because you see here this Vf is coming here. Now N is a constant. A is area of the junction, and remember this condition is when this Vf, the applied voltage, is between minus infinity and phi by 2. Phi by 2, phi I told you built-in potential, that is 0.7. So it means 0.7 by 2, right? Means 0.35, and it's reverse voltage. So of course it is minus 0.35. So minus 0.35 to any negative voltage. If that situation exists, the potential will be given by this equation. If this reverse voltage is less than 0.35, means between 0 and 0.35, then this equation will be different. But most of the time when we use MOSFET, we apply very high positive voltage here in case of NMOS. So this reverse bias voltage is most of the time more than 1 in case of drain area. In case of source area also, it's near about 0.7 or something like this. Okay, let's take eraser because this portion is overlapping this graph. Now here you can see this graph. What this graph says, this graph shows variation of capacitance per unit area as a function of Vf. Vf is applied bias. You see, when this Vf is positive, in that case junction will be forward biased, so the capacitance will increase, because when the junctions are forward biased, their depletion region width decreases. You know, the capacitance is inversely proportional to D. D, suppose, is the width of depletion region. So in case of forward biased portion, D decreases, so C increases. C is increasing here. But in the reverse bias, you see, when we are going towards this side, in the reverse direction, reverse voltage is increasing. Increases. If D increases, width of depletion region increases, then C decreases, capacitance decreases. Capacitance is decreasing like this. And you see two different behaviors are shown here. You remember there was N here. N is constant. So the N can have two values. N may be 1 by 3, N may be 1 by 2. If that PN junction which is there, which is acting as which is formed because of presence of drain and source into the bulk material. So if that junction is a step graded junction, means the doping density changes suddenly when we go from that drain to bulk or from source to bulk, then we call it step graded junction. If the doping density is changing linearly, then it is called linearly graded junction. So depending on what kind of doping is there is slight change in the behavior, but one thing is sure, whether it is linearly graded junction or step graded junction, when we increase the reverse bias voltage, width of depletion region increases, and so the capacitance decreases, which is shown here in this figure. Now I hope you understand how the various parasitic capacitances are present into the MOSFET device. Now we have to see how these capacitive components which are present into MOSFET device, they will affect the circuit which contains a MOSFET device. So we will start with the symbol of a MOSFET device, and then we will connect these capacitive components in that MOS symbol. So you know, this is let's change the color. Okay. So suppose this is our MOS device, right? This is bulk terminal, and this is gate, this is drain, and this is source. So see here, this gate, this gate is connected to drain. Gate is directly connected to drain through this CGDO, gate drain overlap capacitance. So this gate drain overlap capacitance I will show here now. Like this. This is C GD, gate drain overlap capacitance. Now this gate on the other side, it is connected to source also through this gate source capacitance. Gate source overlap capacitance. Now again go to drain. So this drain is connected to bulk also. Bulk normally is grounded. So anyway, this is connected to bulk also. This gate, sorry, bulk drain capacitance. So bulk is connected to drain. So this is drain. This drain is connected to this bulk. This is drain, bulk, or BD, whatever you call it. In the same way, this capacitive component, source is connected to bulk. Bulk source capacitance. There is this capacitive component, gate to bulk capacitance. So gate terminal and the bulk terminal. So between gate and bulk there is a capacitance here. So this is gate terminal, this is bulk terminal. So between these two there is a capacitance. So I will show this capacitance. There is little space, but no problem. I will show it like this. It crosses like this and then it goes to bulk component, like the bulk side like this. So this capacitance is gate bulk capacitance. Okay, so most of the capacitances we have shown, we have indicated here in this MOSFET symbol. Now there are two more capacitive components. This is gate channel and this is bulk channel. Okay, if you talk about this capacitance, gate channel, gate terminal is available here, but channel is not visible outside the device. Channel is something which exists within the device. So since channel terminal is not available to us in this symbol, we will not be able to represent it here. In the same way, this bulk channel capacitance. So here bulk terminal is available, but channel terminal is not available. So we cannot represent these two capacitances. This capacitance and this capacitance. These two capacitances are not shown here in this diagram because channel terminal is not available to us. So what we do when we consider the effect of these capacitances, we attach the capacitive values of these capacitances to other capacitors, other capacitances whose terminals are available to us. For example, this gate channel capacitance can be connected, can be assumed to be with this gate drain overlap capacitance, or with this gate source overlap capacitance, and this bulk channel capacitance. Since this one terminal is bulk terminal, so we can attach the value of these capacitances to this bulk drain capacitance or with the bulk source capacitance, because the bulk terminal is available to us. So that way these two capacitive components, they will be associated with other non capacitive components which are present here in the structure. So that will be more clear in the coming slides. Now I hope now you understand that how these capacitive components are connected in the circuit. If we see a MOS device in a electronic circuit, so how these capacitive components will be connected there in the circuit. Now, more clear cut diagram is here, so it is shown here also. So in the book this diagram is given. This is gate drain capacitance, bulk drain capacitance, bulk source capacitance, gate source capacitance, and this is bulk gate capacitance. So these capacitances are connected to your MOS device like this. So this is more clear cut and more clearly visible diagram, and I hope that now you understand that only these two capacitances are not shown into this diagram. Now let's move to the equivalent circuit part. How these capacitive components will be represented into the equivalent circuit. Now we will start with this particular part, because these capacitances, they already have been indicated uh, in this MOS device symbol. So we know that which capacitive component is connected to which terminal, except two capacitive components, because terminal corresponding to those are not available to us. So let's modify this equivalent circuit. We know that this is the equivalent circuit of this MOSFET device, right? Now just add these capacitive components here, and you will be ready with your equivalent circuit, high frequency equivalent circuit of MOSFET. Now for example, let's talk about this. This is your gate terminal. Okay, let's because we have to connect this bulk terminal with the other components, so let's make one line which corresponds to the bulk terminal. Now this is our bulk terminal. It will help us to make better connection, and this is our gate terminal, right? Now gate and drain, this capacitance number 1, this is gate and this is drain, so make this drain terminal like this. So the gate is connected to drain like this. I am just writing number 1 here. Now bulk drain capacitance, bulk and drain capacitance. So this is our drain terminal. So this is our drain terminal, and this is our bulk terminal. So like this. Number 2 here. Number 3, gate source. This is gate and this is source. So that we will show like this. This all line is source. So I am writing this as a source. This is number 3. Number 4, bulk source. So bulk terminal is here. Oh, sorry, I forgot to draw. Number 4 like this. Number 5, bulk gate. You see, this is bulk and this is gate. So there is one capacitive component here. These things are like this. So this is fifth component. Just what we have to do, we have to place these components between the right terminals on this equivalent circuit, and you are ready with your high frequency MOSFET model. So the diagram which is given in your book, that is more clear, and diagram is like this. You see here, this component number 1, I'm writing number 1 here, this component, this bulk source, this is bulk source. There is a one mistake here in this diagram. I will tell you which mistake is there. Then this is third component, this one, and this bulk drain, This bulk drain is this component, and this bulk gate, this 5, this 5 is shown here like this. This is gate and this is bulk line, right? Now I was telling you there is one mistake, and that mistake exists in the book, but we have to make corrections here. So you see here, this capacitance, gate source capacitance, that should be between gate terminal and source terminal, but in the book by mistake this line is source line, and this is gate and source, they are shorted like this. That is not correct, and it should not be shown like this. So what you have to do, you have to cut it here. Okay, so there is a cut here, right? Otherwise source and drain, they will be connected together and they are shorted, and your gate is your input, and you cannot ground your input because source most of the time is grounded. One more thing, there is a component which is RD here, and there is a component RS here. These are the resistances offered by your drain region and source region, because you see, if you see the structure, so suppose this is your drain and this is your source. So this is N plus, but your terminal is here, this drain terminal. So when the current enters into drain portion, so it offers some resistance. Although this is heavily doped, so what we expect, it offers almost negligible resistance. But if you want to improve the accuracy of our model, we have to include even this small value of resistance. So this RD represents this drain resistance, and this RS represents this source resistance. The values of these resistances normally is very small, few ohms only, but it's better if we include it because it improves the accuracy of our system. So I hope that now you understand the equivalent circuit of a high frequency MOSFET device. Now you have seen the various parasitic capacitive components which are present into the MOSFET device, and you have added them into the equivalent circuit also. But now the most important thing is how the values of these capacitive components, the parasitic capacitive components changes, because when our device moves from ohmic region to saturation region or to cutoff region, so then there are many things which changes into the device. So the value of these capacitive components also changes depending on our biasing conditions. So now we will see how to find out the values of these parasitic capacitive components. So all the capacitive components, they are shown here, and remember this GC, gate channel capacitance, and the bulk channel capacitance, they are not yet shown into the equivalent circuit, right? But these capacitive values, they also have to be included. Their values will be added in those capacitive components which are accessible to us from the outside of the device. Let's see how we do it. Now this is the table. So these 5 capacitive components, gate oxide capacitance, gate drain capacitance, this gate source capacitance, this is 1, this is 2, bulk gate capacitance, this is third capacitance, this third, and bulk drain capacitance, this is 4, and bulk source capacitance, this is 5. This bulk source capacitance, this is 5. Better to keep it red. Okay. So now let's see how their value changes when the device moves from cutoff to ohmic and when ohmic to saturation. So let's see what happens in cutoff. Cutoff means channel formation has not taken place. So if there is no channel here, it means the gate drain capacitance, first capacitance, if you talk about this gate drain capacitance, this capacitance will not have any effect, because this capacitance is because of this parallel plate combination, this gate overlapping over this portion of the drain. So whether it is in cutoff or in any other region, this capacitive component will always present there because it is because of the structure of the device. So the value of this is C aux W by LD. C aux, you know, C aux was capacitance per unit area, and it was epsilon naught into epsilon SiO2 divided by oxide. T oxide means thickness of oxide. Now actual capacitance will be multiplied by area because this is capacitance per unit area, and the area is W into LD. Width of channel multiplied by LD. LD is this small length which is there because of this overlapping LD. Now the same thing happens here. CGS. Here also it is going to remain same because the second capacitive component. We expect that LD is same. Diffusion length is lateral diffusion length is same on both sides. Now bulk gate capacitance. This third value you see here, that is C aux W into L. C aux means again this capacitance per unit area multiplied by area. Area is this area, this portion, whole this portion, right? This whole portion. So we are saying W into L. So I told you in the first slide, here this L is actually L minus 2 LD, but since LD is very small, so we consider it L, right? Now bulk drain capacitance, this fourth capacitance. So this capacitance, so whatever is the bulk drain capacitance, that will stay here, and it will depend how much drain voltage is applied because this is junction capacitance. In the same way, this bulk source capacitance will also be given by this, right? So in cutoff portion, actually it's very simple. Whatever the structures is, the structure will decide how much capacitances are there. Now if we are working in ohmic region, you know, we have to see the profile of the channel region into the ohmic region. So I'm drawing drain this side and source this side. So right, and normally your channel, so let's choose different color for the channel. Channel is here in this portion, right? And since it is NMOS, so electron, 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 there are lot of electrons here, and here there is oxide and gate. This is your oxide, and this is your drain voltage, and this is positive drain voltage, and source normally is grounded. So I am drawing this drain this side because in this structure drain is here on this side. Anyway, so when we are in ohmic region, your channel is uniformly distributed everywhere, right? So it means the contribution of the channel capacitance will be equally distributed in different portions. You can see here, if you talk about this gate drain capacitance, capacitance between gate and drain, right? This part, this first gate drain capacitance. So what it includes, so whatever capacitance was there because of this overlapping, that same capacitance that will stay here, that is there. But now channel formation also have taken place. You see, this is N, means there are electrons here, there are electrons here. It means this drain is connected to channel. When there was cutoff, there was no channel here, so this portion was P type. All this, there was P type in cutoff, and this substrate was also P type. So only drain was contributing towards this capacitance. But now since channel is also there, and this is N type channel, and the drain is also N type, so drain is connected to this channel portion. So this channel is contributing some capacitance, and that capacitance, channel capacitance is, so I write here CC, channel capacitance. That will be the C aux. C aux is this same capacitance per unit area multiplied by W into L. But this channel is connected not only to the drain, but it is connected to source also. So half of this channel capacitance will be added to drain, and half of this channel capacitance will be added to source side. So you see here, half of this channel capacitance is added to this this side, and half of this channel capacitance is connected to this gate source, right? This part is grounded. And if you talk about bulk gate capacitance, so this third capacitive component, this capacitive component. Now you see, when we enter into ohmic region, this capacitance becomes 0. Why? Because this capacitance is between gate and bulk. But here you see, since channel has formed here, so gate and bulk, they are not interacting directly. Gate is first interacting with channel, and then channel is interacting with the bulk. So that's why, since there is no direct structure between gate and bulk, so gate bulk capacitance is 0, right? Now let's go to the bulk drain capacitance. So the bulk drain capacitance is here, and bulk source capacitance is here. Now half part of this bulk source, bulk channel capacitance, you have seen here, channel formation has taken place. So there is a bulk channel capacitance here, which is connected to bulk terminal, bulk channel capacitance. And this is bulk drain capacitance, and this is bulk source capacitance. So this bulk channel capacitance is there, but since channel terminal is not outside, so what we do, we assume that this bulk channel capacitance have two component. One component is connected to bulk drain capacitance, and one half component is connected to bulk source capacitance. So you see, half part of bulk channel capacitance is added to bulk drain, and another half part is added to bulk source. So this bulk channel capacitance is divided into two different parts. One half part is going to this, and other half part is going to this side. So I hope you understand that why we have written these equations for these capacitive components in the ohmic region. So if you talk about saturation, now in the saturation, let's draw the diagram here. You will see that in saturation case is totally different, because if you see the structure and you see the distribution of the channel area into the saturation region. So this is your oxide, this is your gate, this is drain, and your source terminal. Now channel here in case of saturation, so you know saturation occurs once pinch off have started. So pinch off started means near the drain the width of channel is small, and near the source the width, or you can say depth of channel, is more, and the pinch off occurs like this somewhere here. So the distribution of channel in the saturation region, so this is saturation region, and this was ohmic region. So distribution of channel in ohmic region was uniform throughout this channel portion, but in case of saturation region, the depth is more near the source, and pinch off has already occurred near the drain. So because of this, what will happen? Now whatever channel capacitance is there, now it is not connected to drain side, because from drain it is disconnected. All this is connected to your source side. So all this part is now connected to your source side only. So what will be the consequences? For example, if we talk about gate drain capacitance, this particular gate drain, it will have only this overlapping part here. This capacitance is only because of overlapping here. If there is any overlapping, this overlapping is not shown here in this diagram, but overlapping is shown here in this diagram. But this gate source capacitance, so that will have this thing. So this component is because of overlapping, and this component is because of channel capacitance. All this channel capacitance, gate channel capacitance, that gate channel capacitance is shown as connected to the gate source capacitance, and it is two-third part. Two-third part means earlier in case of ohmic it was equally divided into two parts, but here whole this part is going here, so it is more than half. So we can say it is two-third part. So two-third part, so half part is up to here, this will be half of the gate channel capacitance, half plus this part, so it becomes 2/3. So 2/3 part of this gate channel capacitance is connected here, right? And if we see the bulk gate capacitance, so that is still 0 because your gate is not connected, not communicating to the bulk, it is communicating first to channel, and so this channel have disturbed direct connection of gate and bulk, so that part is 0. If you talk about bulk drain capacitance, so this is bulk terminal here, so bulk drain capacitance, so this is bulk drain capacitance, so it will be as it is. Earlier in case of ohmic region, bulk drain capacitance was added into the bulk channel capacitance, but now this channel is not connected to drain. Now this channel is connected to bulk source capacitance, sorry, bulk bulk source capacitance. So all this capacitance which is between channel and bulk, the C bulk channel capacitance, that will be added to bulk source. But you see, because of this profile, it is more than half, so we say 2/3 of the bulk channel capacitance that is coming, and that is being added to the bulk source capacitance. So that way, if you have to calculate capacitance, any particular component of this parasitic capacitance, you have to see the role of channel. Role of channel plays very important part. In case of ohmic region, the channel capacitances, so gate channel capacitance and bulk channel capacitance, they are equally divided between the gate side and drain, source side and drain side. But in case of saturation, since the channel is not connected to drain, so these components will be added to the source side capacitances only, and 2/3 part of these capacitances actually will be added to the source terminal capacitances. So I hope that now you understand how to calculate the parasitic capacitances in a case of MOSFET device, and how to use these parasitic capacitive components to uh, find out the equivalent circuit of MOSFET device. So if you have any question, any doubt, you can ask.